Hello everyone, Prime here. Today we're going to be talking about Krampus. He was a particularly edgy beast, long, thick, curled horns, covered in fur, and taller than you'd expect for a goat. In a lot of his depictions you can see him sticking out a long tongue, and he had famously sharp claws. Being a goat man, he stood on his hind legs, a lot like Cernunnos, but stood upright. He's part goat and part demon, with a very disturbing facial expression on his face 9 times out of 10 that you'll see him. His original name was taken from the German word, or a German word rather, for claw being Krampen. I'm not sure if this is an old German word, or just German. It wasn't really stated a lot. Some places seem to think that it was Old German, others just say it was German outright, so there's a bit of confusion there, but there you go. Krampus was also said to wear a rusty chain and bell, which was an influence from Greek mythology, and their satyrs. In Greek mythology, their appearance does not differ too much from Krampus at first glance, except that Krampus looks like a very depressed old man, or at least very depressed man, whereas satyrs were more jolly creatures who were known to play the flute, hang out with the Greek god of wine Dionysus, or Roman god Bacchus, and enjoyed the company of nymphs, who were beautiful, natural female spirits. So I'm guessing you can already see why Krampus wasn't exactly too happy. He spent most of his time, as far as more recent mythologies about Krampus, with Santa Claus. So, yes. But in Old Norse, which is where the majority of this myth seems to come from, winter ghosts would roam around the lands and might cause some troubles for the local peoples by terrifying them and being general menaces. So the men dressed up in fur bodysuits and wore masks with deranged facial expressions decorated on them. They marched through villages yelling and shouting and starting riots to keep the spirits away, which means they were also being menaces in and of themselves. That seems a bit counterproductive. But typically this took place on the longest night of winter, or winter solace, apparently it's called. And I'm guessing it's not that different from living near a stadium, which blasts music whilst you're trying to prepare for a presentation that you have to give at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm guessing that's not a fun time. Eventually, this myth was adapted into Christianity, and soon Krampus found himself entwined into the myth surrounding Christmas. One of the myths surrounding Christmas. On the 5th or 6th of December, Santa Claus would go about his rounds, delivering gifts to the shoes of good, well-behaved children. Krampus, on the other hand, took a bit of a different approach and decided to place rods inside of the naughty children's shoes. He had different degrees of punishments for varying levels of naughty children. He carried a special stick with him that he used to punish the wrongdoing little ones. Anyways, the especially unruly children he outright just kidnapped, and then kept them in his lair, and they just chill there for a bit, and the myth goes that they are eventually, shall we say, consumed by Krampus? So, there's something to think about today as you go to sleep, thinking about goat men and how much you like playing Cernunnos. You know how I have a tendency to butter up things that are usually a lot darker than they would otherwise sound? Well, I called Krampus's lair, and in fact it was actually the underworld. And also, he wouldn't necessarily always eat children, he would in fact sometimes torture them. Gods know how long he would actually torture them for, whether he'd actually return the children, or if he was just being a humongous douche. To be fair though, when you're part demon, you have teeth that sharp, and sharp fangs that you can only use to scare children, your life sucks enough already. So, this is of course relevant because yes, Cernunnos will be getting the Krampus as a skin, which I can think of no better god in Smite to get this Krampus skin. And typically, the purpose of Krampus, as you might have imagined, cause any young children to behave during the Christmas time. You know, giving extra incentive rather than, oh, you'll just be put on the naughty list and not get any presents. Because anyone else think that was a bit of just a weak, oh, you're not going to get presents. Huh. And then you get presents anyway. Then it's like, wow, that whole naughty list that was kind of stupid. Yes. Yes, it was. The only reason why this adaptation of the Krampus myth kind of came about was apparently that around the 12th century or so, Christianity's sort of, shall we say, leaders sought to stamp out the myth, and no one really talked about Krampus, brought him up around Christmas time. There was a movie called Krampus that came out in 2015, I believe it was, so you might enjoy that this year if you've not already seen it. So there's that, and yes, hopefully this video somewhat puts you in some sort of holiday Christmas mood. Or at the very least, you learnt more about a character whose skin will be coming out soon. Will you be getting this Krampus Cernunnos skin? Or does it seem a bit meh to you? Let me know in the comment section below, but thank you for making it this far into the video. I hope that you did enjoy, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like, and of course, there's a special button that every YouTuber asks you to press at the end of these videos. So, until the next video, have a very good day. I have been Pride, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.